talk about some updates from the Georgia school shooting. We're going to get to American domestic politics. We'll talk about Kamala Harris's campaign event that she just had, where she, of course, talked about the school shooting as well. Here, let's take a look at what's going on in Georgia.
My name is Sheriff Judge Smith. I'm the sheriff of Bexar County Sheriff's Office. We're standing on the campus of Apalachee High School here at Bexar County Schools. First and foremost, I want to lift up our community. I want to give our sympathies to our community, our school system, our kids, our parents that had to witness this today. Obviously, what you see behind us is an evil thing. At about 9:30 this morning, we received the first call that there was an active shooter on this campus. We're not releasing any information as far as injuries, but we have multiple injuries. This is a very, very fluid investigation. It's very early. We do have a suspect in custody, and we are asking for your patience as the media to please let us get the facts that we need to make sure we get this right.
This is more of a failure of gun control, not the failing of the police first, though. Yes, both are at fault. Yeah, of course it's a failure of gun control, a lack of gun control. That's crazy. Of course. It is. This is a legislative problem, okay, first and foremost. But here's what the president released after today's school shooting. Republicans in Congress must finally say enough is enough and work with Democrats to pass common sense gun safety legislation. We must ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines once again, require safe storage of firearms, enact universal background checks, and end immunity for gun manufacturers. Is correct. It is the correct position. No American will come to terms with that, of course. CNN reports a 16-year-old student at Apalachee High School Center. Mama texts, "I'm sorry I haven't been a perfect daughter. I love you." School should be sued for not having armed security guards to guard the kids. Oh. Yeah, the shooter, as far as details goes, the shooter is 14 years old. School has been open for like 3 fucking days at this point. And this is happening in Georgia, where the Georgia governor, Brian Kemp, signed a bill allowing guns to be carried without a license. 2 days into the school year, already a fucking gun, already a mass shooting, a school shooting. Kamala Harris talked about it at the rally.
So before I begin, I do want to say a few words about this tragic shooting that took place.
It just feels so rehearsed, and it feels like we are in this like permanent holding pattern. Like, it comes across, I'm not going to lie, like they're on the right side of this issue unconditionally, okay? Democrats are on the right side of this issue. Straight up. It's just, it's the truth, okay? This is not like this is not an endorsement of Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or anything like that, or an endorsement of the Democratic Party. Having said that, however, they are absolutely on the right side of this issue. It's just, that's it. But because it has happened so much and so frequently that like this pattern that we keep repeating over and over again comes across scripted and hollow. This issue will never be tackled because 6% of shootings happen in private schools, so it doesn't affect rich people as much. All the more reason to ban private schools so the rich can actually care about safety and education. That's an interesting attitude I had not considered. But I think it just simply won't get solved because the Republican Party owns like unlimited, unrestricted access to weapons as a major policy position, and it's a very popular policy as well. I don't think that there is going to be a mass like event that causes Americans to wake up to this reality of school shootings and where it comes from and how to stop it.
But this is just a senseless tragedy on top of so many senseless tragedies. And it's just outrageous that every day in our country, in the United States of America, that parents have to send their children to school worried about whether or not their child will come home alive.
Is Kamala promising more gun control? Yeah. I mean, that's the basic Democratic position.
Juliet Kayyem. She was a former assistant secretary for the Department of Homeland Security. Juliet, thanks for joining us. Multiple law enforcement officials are telling CNN that Apalachee High School had gotten an earlier threat on the phone this morning, warning that there would be shootings at 5 schools and that Apalachee would be first. What more do we know about that?
We don't know much more, and we don't know obviously who the caller was. My suspicion, just based on what happened, is that this was a person who wanted to create more destruction, and also wanted it to be known that it was him, and went on this rampage. The second possible theory is that there's more than one person involved, although the police have not been suggesting that yet, and the fact that the family unification has already occurred suggests that they think it's just him. I know this seems obvious to a lot of people, like, oh, they got, they screwed up, they got a phone call and they didn't close the school. Schools get phone calls like this all the time. Always are.
Yeah, we already have a Gen Alpha mass shooter. The child was born in 2010, has spent over 1/3 of their life in a post-COVID world. Yeah. I mean, people are like, oh, how could this have happened? Like, he's 14 years old. He's so young. And it's like, what do you mean? Open your fucking eyes, dude. Like, this is the most American thing. It is actually shocking when it doesn't happen all the fucking time. We have had, it is so American to do a school shooting. It is so ingrained in our fucking DNA at this point, especially as a consequence of the mass availability of weapons, that we had a fucking trans shooter, okay? Like, do you understand how fucking commonplace it needs to happen? How commonplace of a thing this is, that there is a fucking trans person that did a school shooting, okay? Like, that's how fucking American this is, okay? Like, that's how American it is 1% of the population. Everybody gets a piece at this point. I'm honestly surprised there was this long of a gap between school shootings. There wasn't. It's just this one is like something that the media is paying more attention to. And also the gap between school shootings is called summer break. School year literally just started fucking 2 days ago, dude. 2 days. Crazy because I talked about this yesterday and I was joking about how Americans love school shootings so much that like 10 of them happen during lockdowns. We say it's got to stop, but I've covered this so much. I've covered this so fucking much. And it literally is unfathomable. The fact that we've made no movements in the right direction in terms of like a reasonable solution to this problem. I don't know what to say. It's just, and the defense of it, basically becomes more and more unhinged. Like, we joke about this at this point where like we've moved on from gun control, which you cannot talk about. Obviously, Democrats talk about it, but it goes nowhere. Republicans will say that's never going to happen. Shut the fuck up. So they end up talking about the background of the shooter and claiming that like, the shooter is trans over and over again. Ridiculous, right? Or the shooter is an undocumented migrant or whatever the fuck they want to shift the blame over to. Then if there's no background that they can shift the blame over to, they start talking about how, well, it's a mental health problem. Okay. There's a shit ton of mentally ill people, dude. And all around the world, as a matter of fact. So why the fuck aren't they having the same exact issues? Perhaps it's because there's one significant difference in the United States of America as opposed to all the other developed nations where, they don't have more guns in circulation than there are people in this fucking country. Turns out that might be a big reason. And they say mental health, and they never actually do anything about the mental health problem anyway. It's just the same fucking shifting of the responsibility and shifting of the blame cycle all over again. It's just like when Republicans always remember that there are homeless veterans when we're talking about undocumented migrants. Oh, we're not even taking care of our homeless veterans. Bitch, you don't want to take care of the homeless veterans. You're the reason. Fuck you mean homeless veterans? The only time Republicans ever talk about homeless veterans is when the conversation is on undocumented migrants, okay? They remember that homeless veterans exist, homeless people exist. All of a sudden, they are victims. In every other conversation, they're criminals. This is the same principle that the Republicans have applied to every fucking point of contention. Shift the responsibility away to a different problem that they are also responsible for. Mental health is a problem. Okay, so let's solve it. Let's do healthcare. No. Mental health is a problem. Okay, so let's do red flag laws. No. Then what the fuck? And when all is said and done, when you don't have those other fucking when you don't have those other issues that you can point to, then Republicans get really unhinged. Door control, security guards. Oh, there's a security guard at this school that was armed. Okay, then we have to fix the doors. We got to do door control. Well, there wasn't actually like there was door control now. Okay, well, how about we arm the teachers? Okay, teachers are armed now in the Pioneer program in fucking Florida and many other places. Okay, well then, how about ladder control? Bulletproof backpacks. Classrooms that have like bulletproof areas. It just doesn't fucking matter. These people are unhinged. Georgia's lieutenant governor wants to also pay teachers $10,000 a year to carry guns at school. Barrow County Superintendent Chris McNeil said that although his district allows the security chief to carry a gun, the school board would have to carefully examine arming other employees. He supports increases funding to our school resource officers, saying the district has 15 to 16 officers, not enough to have one in each of his 20 schools. Barrow County Sheriff Judd Smith was more enthusiastic, saying armed teachers could be a force multiplier in the case of a shooting. It's like a fucking joke, dude. It's insane, but that is American politics, okay? American politics is finding the most unreasonable, most unhinged fucking non-solution that will literally increase the frequency of gun violence at schools. Like anyone with a fucking shred of intelligence can look at that and go, really? You want to arm teachers? You think having easier access to guns will solve the problem of school shootings? Why not arm the fucking students too? Because once they arm the teachers, that's the next step. Kindergartens. Fuck it, dude. YOLO. Let's arm everybody, you know? Remember, the New York Police Department, which is supposed to be adequately trained in active shooting scenarios, their on-target hit rate in an active shooting is 17%. Those are the fucking cops. Now, imagine what a teacher would do in an active shooting scenario. How many fucking of their own students will they accidentally dome? Additionally, insane to think when more guns means a higher likelihood of a gun being stolen from a teacher to literally conduct a mass shooting directly on site. I like that we're basically making it easier to do mass shootings by putting more guns in classrooms. That will definitely solve the problem. None of this shit makes sense. Nothing makes sense in the United States of America. Okay? Because we are way too primed to not solve these issues. We have no interest in solving these problems. When I was younger, I was one of the it's not a gun problem people. Because of you and people like you, I saw the error in my thinking and the truth. Thanks, man. Exactly. And that's precisely why I do what I do. That and also serving 3-minute ad breaks at the top of the hour.